Hello, my name is Samuel Martin. I am a post-baccalaureate student at Weber State University, getting a graduate certificate of teaching, which will take me halfway to a master's of education as well. I will be a secondary health and physical education teacher. So, I want to talk today about a complex topic, at least a topic we make complex, and it may seem complex on a societal level, in a societal view. And I want to try and simplify it because it's something I'm passionate about, and that is open communication and healthy sexuality. Two areas of this I want to talk about. Why sexual partners wouldn't talk to each other about sex, and why we wouldn't have conversations with the uninitiated about sex, usually parents with children. Why wouldn't partners talk to each other about sex? Let's imagine this. You're on a first date with a person. They want to make you food for this first date. Very kind of them. They make you something you're allergic to. What do? Do you eat it? Well, it probably depends on the depth of the allergy, I'm sure. I mean, if it's deadly, I sure hope you wouldn't. I sure hope you wouldn't at all. And then, even if you don't, how do you feel? Are you angry with them? Maybe you're like, well, they should have asked me if I had an allergy. But then again, you're the person who had the allergy and you didn't communicate that either. Okay, all right, you don't eat it, you don't die, you both have a little laugh, likely, right? Because, whoops, should have checked about allergies. My bad. Okay, second date. They're like, I'm going to try again. I'm going to make you food this time. All right, they make you your absolute least favorite food. What do? Do you eat it? How do you feel? Are you angry at them? How could you be? Did you tell them it was their least favorite food? Or should they be expected to ask if it was your least favorite food? How could they have guessed? But you're kind of new in this relationship with this person. So again, maybe you eat it. But do you tell them it was your least favorite food? Let's say you don't. And then, finally you're in a relationship with this person. You've been with them for several months. They want to cook for you again because it's been a while. And you're like, oh, that's nice. And they make the same food. Your very least favorite food, because you didn't tell them it was your least favorite food. So what do you do now? Do you eat it? And how do you feel? Are you angry at them for making your least favorite food? See how this applies to our sexual relationships with each other. You've decided to have this relationship with someone that you've never had with them before, and you don't know their preferences. Maybe you have a little conversation beforehand. Of course, you're going to agree. You agree that, so to speak, they're going to make you dinner or vice versa, right? Both. But how in the world are you supposed to make them a meal, be the best sexual partner you can be without conversation, without discussing? Hey, you know what? That wasn't doing it for me. You have to have that conversation. And you have to talk about maybe there are absolute no's, right? This is in the same vein as consent. Maybe there's just absolute no's for them. There's allergies, quote unquote, right? There could be literal allergies, but just mental. They're just like, no, I can't. That's not going to work for me in our sexual relationship. You have to have that conversation. It's exactly the same. And it's totally normal. It's totally fine. You wouldn't expect someone making a meal for you to know that lobster bisque was your least favorite food in the entire world. There's no way they could know that, right? So you're not going to be angry with them if they feed you lobster bisque. You're just going to be like, turns out I hate lobster bisque. Sorry. All right, next time. The principles that work in a relationship in general work in the sexual relationship. That is the foundation of a solid sexual relationship. Just honesty, trying to work together to improve. If you're running a business with a person, you're not just going to decide the name of the business and then say, let's get to work. You're going to meet constantly. You're going to talk about what the vision is. You're going to have to update each other. Open communication is so helpful, so needed for strong sexual relationships. Now, sharing with the uninitiated, or often our children. So ask yourself, why wouldn't you talk to your children about sex? And I'm not talking about sit them down when they're 12 years old or whatever arbitrary age you choose and have a detailed conversation with them and everybody feels awkward about it. But like, why wouldn't you just let the conversations happen as they bring it up? When your 4-year-old niece, when asked what age they most want to be, they say 21, and you say, oh, why is that? And they say, because I want to get married so my husband could touch my private parts. How do you respond to that? And what does that teach them? Do you really want them to think that's bad to have that desire? Think about that in this context. Let's say you have a child and you're going to make sure they are the best driver in the world. You're going to teach them all the things that somehow those other idiots on the road have not figured out, and how they got a license you don't know. You're going to make sure they learn it. Are you going to wait until they get their permit to tell them anything about safe driving? Or even they're close to getting their permit? Any opportunity comes up, maybe you're driving with them and they're 8 years old and something happens. Are you going to purposefully avoid telling them, oh hey, this is what that person should have done, or this is what I should have done in that situation? Are you going to skip over those things because, they can't drive yet? They don't have their license, so we shouldn't talk about it. You're going to teach them all growing up. And then, when it's time, they get their permit, are you just going to say, congratulations, you got your permit, have fun driving? Of course not. You're going to take them out in a car. You're going to be with them. Don't take this analogy too far. You're going to teach them. You're going to say, hey, when you're getting on the freeway, it's your job to merge. You're going to say, when you're stopped at a stop sign, whoever stopped there first, they have the right of way. And if it looks like you stopped at the same time, you defer to the person on the right, or the person going straight if you're opposite each other, right? You're going to teach them principles like this. You're not going to say, all right, if you pull up to 1200 East at Center Street, and there's 3 cars on the right. You're not going to do that, right? The same thing applies sexually. We can talk to our kids about sexuality. We don't have to go into things we've done with our partner, whether it's their other parent or not. We don't have to do that. We don't have to go into specifics at all. All we have to do is give them principles, foundational principles, which is what I just talked about. They're the foundational principles of building a strong relationship. Be open. Be honest. Think of other people. Communicate with each other. You're going to be building something brand new. You don't know anything about it, then that's fine. That happens with a lot of things in life. That's just how you have to tackle it. Open communication about sexuality, it might be hard, but there are plenty of ways to talk about it so that the next generation, and so that we don't feel fear and we don't have unhealthy sexual relationships, but we can have happy, healthy sexual relationships. Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that was helpful.